Hi, everybody. Welcome to the right side. Doug Billings here with you, coming smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. Last night, wow, what an attack. The unification of the deep state establishment swamp, all illustrated for us across the country. We saw it happen in real time. And I think most people last night missed this point. What we really saw was another coordinated attack, kind of like lawfare, waged against the opposition. We saw the radical left Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, partner up with their long-term ally, the media, and absolutely try to take Trump down again. I'm going to get into the details and explain to you what I mean and what really happened last night and the good news that is surrounding the Trump camp this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, the right side with Doug Billings is now upon you. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right side with Doug Billings, right side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. We're winning. Welcome to the right side with Doug Billings. Are you ready?
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and his divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back again. The Doug Billings Show, the right side, and we are talking about what really happened last night, the debate. I'm sure most, if not all of you, saw it. If you've not seen it yet, you've heard about it. A lot of people out there with very strong opinions about what we saw. But ladies and gentlemen, the radical left liberal hierarchy, I can promise you this, those in charge over at the headquarters of the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, are in an incredible free fall at this very moment. And as a result of that, they're losing popularity. They're losing ground in the polls. They're losing ground from membership within that party. And they are in full force panic mode over there. I can promise you that. And I'm going to tell you exactly why and how I know this. One of the reasons that I know that this is what's going on behind the scenes and behind closed doors over at their headquarters is because they don't play fair. And the American people know this. They see it. They can see it a mile away, and the American people are not putting up with it anymore. In many ways, I'm surprised at the radical left liberal mob because they are crazy and they are dangerous and they are anti-American, but they are not stupid. So it was a stupid move last night. And so a rare, dumb move and a horrible strategy, what they put forth yesterday. I'll explain. The American people saw it. And it's surprising because there have been dozens and dozens of opportunities for the radical left liberal hierarchy to see what they have done to President Trump over the last 8 years, especially after the last 4 years, and see how all of these things have failed them in their attempts to take him down, to disqualify him, to break him financially, et cetera, et cetera. You would have thought that they would have learned their lesson based on all of these dozens upon dozens of issues and examples of failure. And millions of people around the country have rallied behind President Trump. You've seen this happen. The examples of people leaving the Democrat Party and coming over to the Republican side. That's just one example. Behind that example are millions of people like you and me, John and Jane Doe, on the streets of America, looking around, thinking to themselves and seeing, this isn't what I signed up for. I might have voted for Administrator Biden and Vice Pretender Harris, but this is not what I had in mind when I cast my vote. And so they're leaving the party, even if it's only for this election cycle. I grant you, they might not be convinced they're a Republican for life, but they're coming over to our side this cycle. That's most definitely true. And they're doing that in the multiple dozens of millions of people. So the lawfare and all of this lessons that you would think that would have been learned by the radical left, because the American people see all of this, and the American people are smart. Now, the radical liberal hierarchy doesn't believe that. They don't think that you're smart. They view all of this, or the American people view all of this as another weaponized attack against President Trump. It might not involve a courtroom and a judge, but it does involve coordination, phone calls, and direct orders from the liberal hierarchy. We saw it in the panel. We saw it the questions. We saw the kinds of questions that were answered or asked, I should say, and we saw it in the kinds of questions that were not asked. It's the reason Trump is trending upwards and that Kamala Harris is going down. The people of America are tired of it. It really is that fundamental, but there's some significant reasons behind this. Americans don't like an unfair fight. And last night, during the debate, Americans witnessed yet another example of how the radical left and their media partners teamed up to try to take out their opponent. That's what it was, plain and simple. You've seen many people besides me today come out and say similar things. Megyn Kelly, highly frustrated and angry with ABC News. You've seen even Meghan McCain come out and criticize ABC as a result for some of these things. The result is that today, ladies and gentlemen, today there is a tidal wave, a veritable tsunami of backlash aimed against the Communist Socialist Party, formerly known as Democrats. You know that, their hierarchy, also aimed at Kamala Harris, politically and personally, and aimed against ABC News. So this is all fantastic for us. Kamala Harris didn't receive any net gain in polling results after last night's performance. Zip. None. Not a one. Meanwhile, President Trump is winning in Pennsylvania, so much so that his lead is now beyond the margin of error in that state. In fact, he's leading in almost all of the battleground states, my friends. If President Trump wins Pennsylvania and just one other battleground state, which is highly probable, President Trump is going to be number 47, my friends. Anyone, look, with any shred of common sense, with any shred of ability to engage in critical thinking, with any shred of intellectual maturity, could see right away last night that the night was going to be smothered in left-wing partisanship, and it was going to present Trump with a situation that would require him to debate three people, not one. Now, it was well beyond anyone complaining about winning or losing. I don't want it to give any false notion about me being a sore loser or anything, because he did not lose. And the argument, well, Doug, you only talk about having to debate three people. That's a loser's argument. Only losers make that argument. It's not true. Trump, first of all, didn't outright lose that debate. He held his ground. And in the midst of a coordinated attack where the questions were staged against him, and I'll get to this in the program today, I'm going to explain all of this. He held his ground, and they did not prevail against him, because the radical left is going to claim, and they have been all day, Trump lost. Whoa, it was a debacle. She mopped the floor with Trump. Nothing could be further from the truth. First of all, I'm not the only person who's noticed this. There are other people out there who've talked about it. Now, they're not going into the detail that you're hearing here, but you could sense, couldn't you? Last night, Kamala, I mean, again, I mentioned Megyn Kelly and Meghan McCain, people from across the spectrum in the legacy media who are now doing podcasts and so forth. It's one thing to hear it from them, but then when you see the focus groups of people that are just randomly selected by people like Dr. Phil and others, it bears a lot of weight about what the left did and how much they failed. Because at the end of the day, All you have is Kamala Harris with memorized platitudes. That's all it was last night. There was nothing substantive given or offered by her. Memorized body language, coached by Hollywood producers and directors. That's the truth. That's why she's been out of sight, except when she does her rallies and she's not giving any interviews. She's hunkered down and she's memorizing platitudes, just one-liners and zingers. And that's, in essence, all you saw last night. Now, Team Harris, all aflutter today. They're putting out the same kind of manufactured and engineered joy and happiness that we saw when she was bequeathed her position, because they have a candidate who can speak, and they have a candidate who can communicate without being affected by dementia. So the people on social media, oh my gosh, did you see how she was? She went toe to toe with Trump. She didn't back down. She could speak. Well, compared to the zombie Administrator Biden, anything would have been better. So they're all giddy about that. It's the same reason they were giddy and happy about the day she was given the nomination, and that they forced Joe out. Okay, finally, we've got a candidate who can walk up the steps without falling down. It's that kind of sophomoric nonsense that they're all aflutter about. But in reality, there's nothing of substance there. She is still the world's worst presidential candidate this republic has ever had, and she is still the most radical liberal candidate that this republic has ever had. And there's really something that was the reason behind this avalanche of enthusiasm on the part of Kamala Harris and her team, because immediately after she was bequeathed the position of the nominee of the Communist Socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party, you could tell and you knew that there were conference calls and Skype calls throughout the country telling and demanding such enthusiasm. Remember, this is the political party that had Administrator Biden, whose image right now, I'm not making this up. Administrator Biden's image is used in Russia to advertise Alzheimer's facilities. Not making that up. In this political party, they're having, it's as if they're having orgasms of nothingness about this, because all of a sudden their candidate can speak. Their candidate can memorize Hollywood producer and directed rhetoric and platitudes. And she can look at Trump and she can posture herself according to body language coaches. And she can do all of these things that he couldn't do in a candidate. And now they're happy. So we allow them their sugar high. It's crashing. I've discussed that before many times. And when you examine the answers that Kamala Harris gave last night, canned, rehearsed, memorized, one-liners, and zingers. That's all we got from her. That's it. Nothing else. She put forth nothing substantive about any policy or any platform that she would plan to take on. She gave titles of them, but no details. And that's it. I mean, and so last night what we had was yet another example of a weaponized system, this time involving one of their partners in the media, that was lined up against President Trump, weaponized in as much as the ABC moderators, and you probably noticed this part, they told President Trump, moderators, they told President Trump he was wrong when he gave answers. That's against Rule 101 of any debate. If you were in high school or college debate, the moderators don't give commentary. They don't challenge. They ask questions and they attempt to ask follow-ups. It's up to the person being debated to challenge the validity or the truth about an answer that the opponent gave. Terrible. ABC. So this is all planned and coordinated and expected, but that's what we saw. You also saw the moderators fact check President Trump and not Kamala Harris. They didn't challenge Kamala on anything. They never told her that she was wrong, and she was wrong plenty. A lot of the rhetoric was nothing more than rehearsed lies. So more on this when I come back. More of the analysis of what we saw last night in the debate, why Trump is actually soaring, and why Kamala received no bump, no bounce at all from last night. Stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'll be right back. Cheers. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. I am Doug Billings. Today's economy crashing thanks to the policies, platform, and politics of Kamala Harris. Thank you very much. If you want to protect your investment that you have set aside for your retirement, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's diversifying in gold and silver, the biblical standard for which we can protect our money. Head over to Doug's Gold, D-O-U-G-S gold.com, Doug'sGold.com, and simply get information about how you can diversify your portfolio and protect your retirement, ladies and gentlemen. Doug'sGold.com. Also information about how to use gold and silver as currency on Doug'sGold.com. Ladies and gentlemen, head over there today. Protect yourselves. Protect your retirement. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, well, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
The Right Side with Doug Billings, where we meet in determined prayer and determined patriotism.
We're talking about the debate last night, what we all saw, what we all witnessed, what we experienced together. Let me just recap a few key points with regards to the ABC moderators and what we saw with them, because it's important about how we have to understand the coordinated effort behind the scenes. So with regards to the moderators, they repeatedly told President Trump that he was wrong when he gave answers. Now, Trump may have been wrong in an answer or two, and no one is always right, but it's not appropriate for the moderators to point that out. That's why he's debating Kamala. If Kamala's on point and is mentally able to do so, she should have been able to call Trump out herself. Now, so that's one. The moderators were terrible in doing that. They also, the moderators, fact-checked President Trump. They never fact-checked Kamala Harris. They don't just do that. It's not fair. And so, look, this is not me whining and complaining. I'm pointing out facts because the American people have seen it and they've had enough. And this is the reason behind the numbers and the results of the debate that we saw last night. You see Trump surging, Kamala plummeting, and people want to know why. And I'm telling you why. It's because we're sick and tired of the establishment, swamp, deep state coordinating their efforts to try to take out their opponent. And this is going to stop. And Trump, again, benefits from the American people's intellect, being able to see through the coordinated attacks. So by doing all of that, by coordinating their efforts, by purposefully loading the questions, I mean, J6, 2020 stolen election, the Charlottesville nonsense, all of it. All of the old things that are designed to trigger Trump. Trump got triggered a couple of times, I admit it. But by doing that, by this coordinated effort, the radical left have driven a wedge now between their party and the rest of America. Now, they don't see that part of it yet. We see it. And they've done this kind of thing by attacking their political opponents, silencing their opponents. And I'm not talking just about Trump anymore. I'm talking about people like you and me. I've been censored from the radical left hierarchy. This very program, when we were over on YouTube, was wiped out. I lost 2 years of programs just because I was conservative. Gone forever are those shows. WorldviewTube.com is undoubtedly persecuted because of their Christian conservative viewpoint and their platform. And we have to support platforms like this. We have to support one another in getting the truth out. Silencing the opponent, the robbery of freedom and liberty, Mandates, unconstitutional mandates. These are the earmarks in the playbook of the radical left. Millions of people are leaving that party as a result of these very things. And they are leaving that party because of what they saw last night. On the opposite end of the spectrum, when you consider everything that the radical left has done, you have President Trump. And you have people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, and Elon Musk, who are now coming together to unite America behind President Trump. And look, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, they are figureheads that represent millions of people like you and me who can see what's going on and are fed up with it. And so we welcome every good effort from RFK Jr. to Elon to Tulsi. We welcome every one of their supporters as conservatives, because this is critical. America still can get along. Americans can still love one another. Today, on all days, 9/11, united. Remember how it was back then, for those of you that can remember? United. The entire world was united behind us after that day. So on this day especially, on the dawn of a new day after the debate, we reflect on unity versus disunity. And I'm telling you, and you can see it, that the disunity, the uncomfort that you feel, the inconvenience of everything that's tried to lock us down, shut us down, wreck the economy, is a product of the policies, the platform, and the politics of the radical liberal movement in America. They can talk all they want about joy and happiness. Nothing from their policy results in joy and happiness. So Elon, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard have brought people together. The people within this republic, my friends, who are yearning for a unification, a way to reignite American and American friendships. It's represented in Trump, Kennedy, Gabbard, and Musk. This new unity party, the MAGA party, the Make America Healthy Again movement, all of it. I'm talking about multiple dozens and dozens of millions of people seeing that and going, yeah, I want that. I want that unity. I want the fairness of that. And they're juxtaposing it against what they see from the left. And they're saying, no, that's not America. That's anti-America, in fact. So they saw the continued and concerted effort last night of the radical left and their longtime standing allies from the legacy media. And in this case, it happened to be ABC, but it could have been NBC, CBS, MSNBC, or whatever. Could have been Fox, to gang up and silence someone with whom they disagree. And the long and short of it, that's what you saw. And remember, this new unification party, underneath the umbrella of the MAGA movement, is comprised of Democrats. It's comprised of independents and Republicans. And we see events like we saw on that debate stage, and it reminds us, because we can see it right in front of our eyes, we can see that we're all unified against the establishment, against the swamp, against the deep state. And of all of the accomplishments, there he is last night on the screen, President Trump, of all his accomplishments, I think that perhaps his most significant is that he pulled back the curtain and revealed to us the deep state. And we now are aware and we see it. And that's the unification this country needs, ladies and gentlemen. What Kamala Harris said last night throughout the debate has nothing to do with reality. For the people, a president for the people, happiness, benefits for everyone, this and that. No, we're not going to take away your guns. They sponsor mandatory gun grab bills and legislation. Transgender operations on illegals and on prison. I mean, the list goes on and on. Suffice it to say, nothing that she offered last night was counter to any of the truth that her policies prevail upon us, which is nothing more than chaos and crisis. That's all that they've done. Trump hit on one topic that was brilliant and needed to be said. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, the ticket of terror was what I call them, but Trump pointed out that during 2021, the summer of love. Remember the riots because of the George Floyd case and other reasons, in blue states, all of the riots, Tim Walz in Minnesota. Let Minneapolis burn for 3 days, and Kamala Harris set up the funding mechanisms so that those anarchists could get back out on the streets and continue the carnage. I mean, that's how rudimentary their lust for chaos is. And everything that they put forth brings crisis about. The liberals have become an elitist class. They think that you're stupid. They think that you need to be guided in this republic. I'm not talking about elitism with regards to wealth or title or position in life. I'm talking about the elitism of ideology. They think that the way they believe is better and more productive than yours. You are immoral. You are an infidel in their eyes. The radical liberal commune socialist, formerly known as Democrat Party in the United States of America, and I would wager to say around the world, is an organization that holds nothing but disdain and contempt for you. They don't trust you. They don't think that you're smart, and they want to control you. And the way that they want to control is to inflict chaos and crisis, because they think that that will make you panic and run to big government for help. And there they will be within the realm of big government, concocting all of the elixirs of control, the recipes of loss of freedom and liberty, all right there. Free stuff? Sure. But you have to do what we say. And you can't say what we don't want you to say. We're far below them we are in the lower class. They are the elitists because their ideology is supreme and better than ours. In their view, we are less valuable. In their view, we're ignorant. And in their view, we are an obstacle. We are something in their way. Nothing illustrates that better than President Trump himself. And in their view, we have no idea what's best for the country. In their ideas to fundamentally transform us away from where this country came from the divine providence of God and the intent of the founding fathers. I mean, my gosh, in their view, we don't even know what's best for ourselves. That's why they want so much government control. It's that simple, and that was on display last night. We need to be controlled, and we control the situation in various ways through questions in a debate. It was the entire hierarchy of the radical liberal movement in America last night that was on display. It was the establishment. It was the swamp, and America saw it. We saw through the charade, and that's why, again, today, Harris is plummeting, Trump is ascending. It is the truth. It's a coordinated effort, not only set up but rehearsed, and it was discussed thoroughly. All of what happened last night has been set up, rehearsed, and discussed since the very day that Kamala Harris was bequeathed her position as nominee for president of this liberal commune socialist party. All right, ladies and gentlemen, more to talk about here, more stuff, and I'm going to add in the hope, the good news throughout all of this. Don't forget also to please consider prayerfully to stop by DougBillings.us. DougBillings.us, ladies and gentlemen, head over there and consider prayerfully to set up a recurring monthly donation so that I can continue to bring you the show. I would appreciate that very much indeed. I'm very grateful to the people at worldview.com for broadcasting and producing the show. People at Spreely TV, Twitter, X, YouTube, Rumble, share the program out as well, please. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back. Cheers. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. Hey, want to tell you about beef. Doug's Beef. DougsBeef.com. This is not your ordinary beef. This is prepper beef. If you want to have a supply of protein on hand, I'm talking ribeye, strip steaks, Kansas City and New York strip, and T-bones as well. Doug's Beef, ladies and gentlemen, check it out. Comes to you in freeze-dried packets, shelf life of 25 years. And when you cook this stuff up, I'm telling you, I wouldn't sell it if it wasn't delicious. Awesome stuff. DougsBeef.com. Head over there, take a look at all of the inventory, and stock your shelves with protein, with good tasting stuff. DougsBeef.com, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. There's the beef. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show. Coming to you, as I always do, from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. And I want to talk to you about EMP, electromagnetic pulse. Now, these things can happen from the sun in nature and naturally, but they can also happen through man-made devices made by people who don't like us very much. And thanks to Kamala Harris, our failed border czar, we've got millions of people in this country who don't like us. Thank you very much, Kamala. Well, EMP Shield is a device like this one here that hooks up to your breaker box in your home, and it prevents your home and your electrical system from being fried in case of an electromagnetic pulse. There's a smaller version that you can put on the battery of your vehicle, so it is also protected. So head over to empshield.com, promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen, empshield.com, promo code Doug. Believe it, for the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug Billings, reminding you that conservatives are better looking than liberals.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Right Side. Doug Billings coming to you from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain. Hey, guess what? December 13th, 14th, the Determined Patriotism Conference. Check it out. December 13th and 14th. It's Christmas season, obviously, right then and there, in Branson, Missouri. It's a beautiful place. It's kind of like stepping into a living Norman Rockwell painting when you go down to Branson during Christmas. But I'm going to host my annual Determined Patriotism Conference down there. There's a website, determinedpatriotismconference.com, determinedpatriotismconference.com. 2 days of a celebration. I'm just going to put it out there. After Trump wins in November, we're gathering in December to celebrate and then to educate, inspire, and motivate us to get back out into our local communities to continue to recover the republic from the radical left. So this is motivation, inspiration, education, 2 days. We're going to go to a Branson show one night. We're going to have dinner together. This is a partial guest list. There's more speakers being added almost weekly, but determinedpatriotismconference.com is where you need to go for information. And I hope to see you in Branson, December 13th and 14th. Okay, so the debate, topic of the day, what really happened? What did we see? I'm not convinced that all of this really dawned on us last night. I was watching it, making notes, and writing all of this down. Basically, what I'm talking with you about today is what I was writing down last night during the debate and from my notes. So I believe that this is a coordinated effort behind the scenes involving the radical left hierarchy and the media in this country, in this case, ABC. Kamala Harris bequeathed her position. She did not win it. We know that. She did not win or earn this position that she's in now. She was given it. And so she was given it because the radical left knows that she's the weakest candidate in the history that they've ever put up. She's the most liberal, but they can't back out of it. We have all talked about this before. DEI, they can't fire her, but justice, and what Americans saw last night was an affront to everything that we believe about justice, about fairness, about equity, and about a fair fight. We didn't see any of it based on the questions, the dynamic, the way that they treated President Trump as opposed to how they coddled Kamala, all of it right out there. And so right now we're experiencing again engineered and manufactured excitement all about Kamala and all about the performance that she gave last night, which really boiled down to simply having rhetoric and platitudes memorized in the form of one-liners and zingers. So last night they produced and manufactured an attempt to take out their opponent, and it was done as a team, and it was done by the media, the Democrat Party. It was done by the campaign of Kamala Harris, and it was done with the help of others in the media. So that includes, by the way, talking heads on social media, on X and Truth Social and others. Did you notice that the rhetoric that she was saying was basically there was nothing of substance. She rattled off a few policy titles and a few entitlements that they were thinking about and muddled about. But it is absolutely nothing. Words of emptiness, just titles. And she didn't go to any explanation. I do wish that Trump was better. He was just, not that he wasn't prepared, but I wish that he was able to counter her, in as much as that everything she's done, every policy that she's put forth, every policy, and when I say she, I mean, I realize it's the hierarchy behind her. She's not making any calls by herself. We know that. She's being ordered and told what to say and what to do. And every time they put a policy forth, chaos and crisis result. We could have probably had better coaching and did a better job. Nonetheless, all things considered, he held his ground, and they didn't break him. They did not prevail against him last night. That's the bottom line. So for the last 2 months, she's had Hollywood producers, Hollywood directors. She's hunkered down. She's not giving any press conferences, and this is why. She's been preparing for what we saw last night, to have things memorized and to make sure that she says them forcefully. And because Administrator Biden couldn't do any of that, she looks incredibly. It looks incredibly. It's all inflated. Everything that we saw, everything that they feel is inflated because Administrator Biden was so bloody bad at all. He couldn't do it. So from verbiage to posturing her body, all of it was choreographed. And that's really a good word for last night from their side. Choreographed. Trump is off the cuff. Did you notice that Trump never took a note? Not a single note. He didn't write any notes. Yet they each had a pad of paper and a pen available to them with nothing on it. They couldn't bring notes in, but they could make notes as the night went on. Kamala, between the exchange of the two, she was going like crazy, writing down notes, trying to write down talking points. Trump didn't, not once. And he just talks off the cuff, and it's Trump's style, and that's what he does. So despite all of the forces arrayed against him, once again, President Trump fields the questions. He gave his answers. He had to battle off the resistance and the nonsense and the fact checks and all of the stuff that they did to impede and slow him down. Did you notice? Not one note. He did it all extemporaneously, all from the top of his head. And it's okay. It's okay. Last night, look, truth be told, in 72 hours, we're not going to be talking about the debate. The debate will be old news and long gone. It didn't move it didn't bring anybody from their camp to our camp, and it probably didn't bring many people from their camp to ours, or ours to theirs. It really didn't. It was enjoyed by some people. There was a couple of focus groups where they said, well, I wish I'd really gone into that night hoping that Kamala would really outline policy and get into some detail about all of that, and she didn't do it. There was a few of those people, but by and large, 72 hours from now, this is going to be the news cycle about this will be over. It's not going, this debate will not affect the results of the election to any great degree. Now, having said that, we look at what's happening with Trump, and he's still ascending, and that has a lot to do with the lawfare and the recognition, as I was talking about earlier in the program. That's people recognizing the stacked deck against President Trump. It has nothing to do with the actual debate. They're just noticing again that there's a coordinated effort against him to knock him out, and they don't like it. So it just makes him get a bump, and she literally didn't get anything today. So on social media, within the legacy news, on X and other news outlets and social media platforms, all you see is, again, the coordinated response, manufactured, made up primarily of ridicule and humor, really bad humor, coupled with old-fashioned talking points that they've used a million times and mocked President Trump. That's what you're seeing online. That's what you're seeing in the news, trying to illustrate him as somehow washed up, that he's finished, part of the past, we're going to turn the page. All of these one-liners, again, all of it from the Hollywood Producer and Director Guild that came in and coached. But of course, all of it's expected. This is how they behave. This is what they do. And you see it as them gloating, they're fawning over her, and they're acting, again, in a manufactured and fake way, very proud of Kamala. But what you're going to see then, and again from them, is their continued effort to gaslight us. And I think even more importantly than that, the gaslighting happened even during the debate, in my opinion, by virtue of the questions and the follow-ups that the moderators were asking. Now, also, I think what's going to be happening is that you noticed political signaling, and they're going to Political signaling is signaling your intentions. Like, what's a good example of the mask? Okay, so during COVID, the mask that we were all mandated to wear, right? And I hope you didn't. But the mask was never about your health. The mask is political signaling. If you're with us, you're going to wear the mask. And so the radical left members of our society wore the mask. Now, a lot of us conservatives wore it too because we would have been canceled in our jobs in other places. So we didn't put up a fight about it. But as soon as we were told we didn't have to wear it, we didn't wear it. And you still see today people wearing the mask. It's still political signaling. It's part of the uniform of the radical left liberal movement in America. So I think that's going to last. I mean, I still see people at church wearing masks, and I just feel sorry for them. I see them still driving in their cars alone. Remember that one? Still see them. But it's political signaling. You'll begin to see more and more of that as we get closer to the election. You've seen plenty of it already. Trump's ignorant. Trump's part of the past. Trump is feeble. Trump was not in control. He got triggered. All of that's political signaling, political talk, gaslighting, etc. But we know what the real numbers are. We know what the truth is, and we can feel it. You can either feel it in your gut or you can feel it and see it in real life by examples of evidence of the obvious. For example, the four people that I think of when I think of the benefit that we have versus the net zero benefit that they have. I think of people like Elon Musk, of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., of Tulsi Gabbard, and of J.D. Vance. That America is uniting behind Trump with those people, each in their own unique way. Elon Musk bringing his own group of followers by the millions over to the right side. Same with RFK, same with Tulsi, same with J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was a strategic win for President Trump. Now, as opposed to Pence, Trump didn't have any choice with Pence. Pence was given and forced upon him by the Republican rhino establishment. J.D. Vance is a little different. Now, J.D. Vance is going to have to prove himself. I'm rooting for him. But strategically, he brings us the entire Rust Belt. I mean, the entire thing. Western New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, parts of West Virginia, Michigan, so and parts of Missouri, for that matter, the Rust Belt. So Vance brings us all of that. And that's a great thing. That's a strategically smart move. Okay. And Tulsi Gabbard. RFK Jr. I think there's probably 20 million votes just in those names alone who have come to our side. And what do they have? Liz Cheney? Dick Cheney? Are you kidding me? Taylor Swift? Let me tell you something. There is a net zero gain of votes for them in all of those people. Because nobody who follows Liz Cheney or Dick Cheney or Taylor Swift was really probably, and when I say nobody, I mean very few, are going to be just rabid and diehard, make America great again, conservative voters in those camps. So it's really not much of a big, I mean, it's a big name, but they don't bring the numbers to their side that RFK, Elon, Gabbard, and Vance bring to our side. So a big difference, but again, to them, they just want to act manufactured and fake enthusiasm and demanded by their hierarchy and put it out there. So that's what that all amounts to. Kamala Harris didn't receive any bump from her efforts last night in the debate. Meanwhile, again, President Trump surging. This is the hope. This is the good news. This is where we look to see and feel like we're going to prevail here. Now, this does not mean that we become complacent, ladies and gentlemen. We still have a lot of work to do. He leads in Pennsylvania. I want to talk about this for a moment. Trump leads in Pennsylvania beyond the margin of error. And he leads in almost all of the other battleground states by 3 to 4%. So a lot of work. That's the margin of error. But if he wins Pennsylvania, and if he wins just one more battleground state, like I said earlier, he will be 47. President number 47, ladies and gentlemen. And when you think about Pennsylvania with critical thinking, I mean, for me, I wonder, Pennsylvania, the governor of Pennsylvania is Josh Shapiro. Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. Shapiro could deliver Pennsylvania to Kamala Harris, but then he's not the nominee. He wasn't chosen. Tim Walz was. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't voted Republican in decades. Why him? He brings no electoral college votes, no new ones, to the Harris camp. Minnesota was going to probably go for Harris anyway. Pennsylvania, not so much. That's in play. Why didn't they choose Josh Shapiro? Tim Walz brings no electoral college votes to the campaign. Minnesota has gone blue almost every year for the last 20 to 30, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 presidential election cycles. But Pennsylvania, they could probably have won it had they chosen Josh Shapiro. So it begs the question, why didn't they? Because it doesn't seem like a very good strategy. It makes me wonder. It just makes me wonder about the choice. And I want to pick up on this when we come back, because it, for me, is I'm just sitting here thinking off the top of my head, this is an indicator, I think, of something that's really dastardly, really nefarious behind the scenes in the radical left liberal party. And I want to tell you about it and bounce it off of you when we get back from this last break. Ladies and gentlemen, I will come back. You can better believe on that. Stay with me, please. Cheers.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Is the government tracking you? Do they have access to all your data? Well, if you go to worldviewtalk.com, you'll find out about a cell phone company that, does not store your data. They don't do that. This is what they're known for. They don't store your data. You have privacy. You're not being tracked. That's why a lot of folks are turning to worldviewtalk.com. You'll find their prices are very competitive. All the details are there at worldviewtalk.com. Again, worldviewtalk.com. Oh, while you're there, not only do they have cell phones that aren't tracking you, you can find out about how to get a satellite phone. Should the whole system go down and you want to communicate with a family member or a loved one, you might want to have a satellite phone. Or how about their solar generators? They have great solar generators. Check them all out right now. Worldviewtalk.com, worldviewtalk.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. I am Doug Billings. Today's economy crashing thanks to the policies, platform, and politics of Kamala Harris. Thank you very much. If you want to protect your investment that you have set aside for your retirement, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's diversifying in gold and silver, the biblical standard for which we can protect our money. Head over to Doug's Gold, D-O-U-G-S gold.com, DougsGold.com, and simply get information about how you can diversify your portfolio and protect your retirement, ladies and gentlemen. DougsGold.com. Also information about how to use gold and silver as currency on DougsGold.com. Ladies and gentlemen, head over there today. Protect yourselves. Protect your retirement. Believe it. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug Billings, driving the left crazy with the truth.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The right side from the smack dab middle of the Republic of the United States. The Determined Patriotism Conference. Determined Patriotism Conference, Branson, Missouri, December 13th and 14th. We are going to have a great time. Christmas time in Branson is a beautiful thing to behold, and I would love for you to be there. I'd love to meet you. I'm going to be hosting a educational, motivational series of talks during the two-day conference that will help us understand what it means to be involved locally in the county in which you live, wherever you live in this country, and along the way to be listening to some of America's top-tier podcasters and influencers. So join me and the likes of Joe Flynn, Tom Renz, Christy Hutcherson, Father Jim Altman, Alex Stone, and Mike Lindell. Hannah Faulkner will be there, and a few others will be added before the dates. We're going to add some next week, and you're going to be very, very happy with those names as well. But it's all about motivation, education, and involvement. The Determined Patriotism Conference. Go to determinedpatriotismconference.com and check out the information. Would love to meet you in Christmas time in Branson. Josh Shapiro, we left off before the break. Pennsylvania. The strategy is questionable to me here. Trump surging, Trump leading in Pennsylvania by more than the margin of error. If Trump wins Pennsylvania, he's almost certain to get the White House again. Why in the world didn't the radical liberal hierarchy think this through? Because the Electoral College is what we need to be looking at here in this case. Pennsylvania delivers that to Trump. Minnesota, where Governor Tim Walz is from, does not really deliver any new electoral college votes. It's just the votes that we assumed that would be delivered to that party anyway. So it makes me wonder if the rumored anti-Semitism within the radical left Communist Socialist Party in America is true. Because Josh Shapiro, as you all know, Josh Shapiro is Jewish. Is the anti-Semitism in that party so severe that it would have prevented them, it would have caused them to say, no, we can't have a Jewish person as the vice presidential candidate? I wonder if people like the squad, that are on that in that group, AOC, Rashad, Ilhan Omar, just to name a few, Presley and others, do they have that much power? Do they have that much pull? I wonder, because Pennsylvania looks like a good strategic choice for a vice presidential candidate. Could have brought them a whole slate of brand new, certainly up for grabs, electoral college votes. I wonder. I just wonder why. Tim Walz is the most radical liberal vice presidential candidate we've ever had. Kamala Harris is the most radical left presidential nominee that we've ever had. So here's my conclusion about that. Here's one of my conclusions about that. As I look at the landscape of this radical left liberal movement in America, look, I know that they want the presidency. I know that they will take the presidency. They'll try to get it any way they can. But here's my opinion is that the presidency of the United States is not the number one goal of the radical left. It's their number two goal. The number one goal of the radical left in this country, and I'm only drawing this conclusion based on what I've seen and what I can understand to be true through their positioning and the choices that they've made. Two of the most radical, the two most radical candidates that we've ever had in this country chosen to be the nominee for president and vice president. So in my mind and in my conclusions, presidency, number two. Now they'll take it. Obviously they're going to take it if they can get it. Yes, but that's their number two goal. Their number one goal is to move the political and social needle in this country further to the left. Further to the left. We've got to move the discussion in this country to the left so that all of these things from Kookville that we've been talking about over the last 4 years especially become just part of our dialogue, part of our lexicon, part of the normal course of any discussion. I mean, think about it. Transgenderism, men and women's sports, the defunding of entire police forces, the border, all of the stuff that we're talking about is radical left nonsense. It is dangerous, and it is eroding the fabric of identity within this republic, and it's eroding our sense of morality. And that's what they want. That's their primary number one goal. Presidency, yes, nice, great. Number two, that's our number two. But we want to continue to move the needle socially and politically to the left so that if we don't win this time, the next time around, we're still talking about these things, and they just incrementally move us to the left. I think that's what they're after here. I think, we see it last night. I think the questions, when you look at them, remember when I was telling you that this is an elitist party, their ideology, they view themselves as so much better. The ideologies that they put forth had nothing or anything to do with any of the concerns of Americans last night. The questions that were asked, very little had anything to do with whether or not we could put food on our table, right? And they were rehearsed, these questions, and they were rehearsed as gotcha questions against President Trump. The comments about J6, about Charlottesville, the 2020 election, all of these old things and old topics that have been brought up time and time again and debunked. The J6, this is an example of where I wish Trump would have gone into more detail and just laid into Kamala Harris about this topic. We all know that J6 was a setup by the radical left. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, and certain members of the Capitol Police who are on the take. They set all of this up, had people dress up like they were MAGA conservatives, and then go out and start the ruckus and the rioting and the nonsense. Now, did a few good MAGA conservatives do stupid things that day? Yeah, admittedly. I would have never gone into the Capitol. You just don't do that. Stay outside, do your peaceful protesting, say your prayer, give your speech, whatever you're going to do, but stay outside. And certainly don't start battling with the police. So that's not us. We do not act like that, ladies. And we all know this is a matter of record. And thanks to Tucker Carlson and James, we have seen the tapes. We've seen them unedited. James Jordan, lost my train of thought. James Jordan, thanks to him and Tucker Carlson, yes, we've seen the tapes. We can now know that it's a setup. Nancy Pelosi's daughter is on tape saying that she set it up, that it was a setup. She was on site making a movie about insurrection that day. Now, come on. It's absolutely well known. So that's the kind of thing that I wish Trump would just go after and say those things out loud and be just unrelenting and put go on the offense and put her on the defensive. So that's just one example, but that's the kind of thing that we saw. We saw them all coordinate efforts against Trump. He remained standing. I think if you're honestly scoring the debate, she appeared more polished and rehearsed because she was rehearsed and she was memorized. Trump was, as usual, extemporaneous self, didn't bring any notes, didn't make any notes, and that's him. So I would have been more forceful in some of the answers, but his closing statement was great. And thank goodness he won that coin toss. He had the last word, and he expelled her campaign brilliantly in that closing statement. You've been there for 4 years. Why haven't you done any of these things that you're talking about tonight? Basically, the summation of his closing speech. So a good night for Trump. Not the best, if we're honest, but Kamala is not the clear winner either. The best news of all, again, and I'll end today where I began. No bump, no noticeable significant bump for Kamala, and everything trending towards Trump today. So it's good news. And again, 72 hours from now, no one's going to remember this. No one's going to be talking about it. It's 56 days, and there's the election. So we don't become complacent in any way, and maybe there'll be another debate. I heard reports that Kamala's out there asking for another debate today. She's gotten so much confidence now, right? Let's see. Let's see what happens. It'll be interesting to see. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that we are in this together. I appreciate you very much. Please support worldviewtube.com. Stop by and look at that platform. Look at their programs. Support them. Follow them. Christian-based truth, conservative news. And the people at Spreely, also very helpful in this. And if you get a moment, stop by DougBillings.us. Check out that donate tab and see if you can't prayerfully consider setting up a monthly recurring donation over there. But all of us, worldviewtube.com, Spreely, and myself, we all wish you well. We're in this thing together, and we will reclaim this republic, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to prevail. Believe it, for the republic. Cheers.